So, hey guys, this is, I'm going to do a little quick interview with Ben. Ben is one of my clients. We've been working together for a while, and he's kind of interesting because the year before we started working together, he did like about $168,000 in sales for the whole year. And he just told me a few days ago that he had his $100,000 month last month. So now you don't get there by just snapping your fingers, and it's not some magic bullet. Ben's pretty committed, and he's works really hard. So I don't know if anybody else is going to make the journey from that, like 168 for a year to 100,000 a month in a short period of time like he did. I don't know if you're going to be able to do that because he worked really hard, and he was really coachable and did a lot of stuff that we told him to do and move forward each step of the way. So wanted you guys to just kind of meet Ben and talk about this a little bit. So, hey Ben, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah. I'm not sure if he talks funny or I talk funny, but one of us has an accent.
Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just tell us a little bit, like, you're from Kentucky. Tell everybody a little bit about what your business is, your background, and how you got started and what's going on.
We're mainly residential. We'll do some light commercial, not a lot, but mainly residential service and replacement. We don't touch on the new construction, really. Before, I've got a background in HVAC. I started out as a tech, like most every other HVAC business owners. There's a few out there that didn't, but most of us all started out as technicians or something in the HVAC field. And I worked for Western Kentucky University for about 10 years doing HVAC work for them and whatever. So I started my business kind of on the side while working for the university. And
so side jobs were your thing?
Side jobs, kind of, that was, I just kind of trickled into it. But then when I committed to it in 2017 and left the university and decided to go full force with it. And in 2017, our total revenue for the year was around 168,000, or it may have been just a tad more than that, not much, maybe 170, somewhere in there. But when I started with Ted in December of that year, I was at 168,000.
Right. So 168. And so, so how long had the business been going by that point?
That we started, at the first of that year, at the first of 2017, full force. That was really my first full-time year. The first year I started advertising, started putting my name out there more. Of course, I just did side work because I had the license to do it, and I wasn't working for a competitor. I was working for a university, so I was able to do the chuck in the truck thing. So that's kind of how I started, and there wasn't any kind of issues with that. So I did that working there, but it wasn't. 168,000 was my best year ever at that point.
Right. So what was the challenge that you were having, or challenges you were having, when you were running Chuck in a Truck and you were trying to get some help? Like, what were you saying? Okay, I got this problem I need to solve. What was the problem you were looking to solve?
Well, I wanted to grow. I didn't want to be in a truck my entire life. And I knew, if my business was only bringing in $168,000 a year, I wasn't going to be able to support my family on that. I mean, there's just no way. And us have, what we wanted out of life. So I think there was a point there I said, well, I need some help. I'm a pretty good technician, but I don't know anything about running the business end. Or very little anyway. So I needed some help, and I started kind of searching around at that point.
What did you find
when I started searching?
Yeah. What were you finding, or what did you try? Did you try anything else before you and I talked to me?
Not really. I mean, I looked into some other things, and I had seen some of your videos and comments on one of the Facebook pages. So, and I watched your video and decided to give you a call, and it was a really good decision. So,
Right. So how did that call go? Because I don't remember. It's been a while. I talked to so
well,
many people, and you probably remember the call better than I do.
it was a very eye-opening experience. I think my labor rate was set at like 80 or $90 an hour at the time. And I was using a flat rate program. I was using CoolFront, I believe, as to do flat rate at the time. But my labor rate was only set at like 80 or $90 an hour. And during that call, we kind of dug into my numbers and figured out that at 80 or $90 an hour, I wasn't making any money. And so that was a start, and that was an eye-opening experience. I think now my labor rate's closer to about the 250 range, or that's what it is. It's around 250. So that's a huge difference. And we haven't had any pushback. If so, very little. And so raising the prices was one thing I was scared of, but it was the best decision I could have ever made.
Right. So I mean, it's one thing to know the number, right? Did you have any challenge with, saying, okay, I'm going to go from $80 an hour to 250, or was that your first jump, or did you do something in between?
No, my first jump was to 175.
Okay. And what did you have, like a fear there? Like, uh-oh.
Yeah, of course, because I'm going up against a lot of companies in my area, like everyone else, not charging like I am now, But one thing that I'm able to do by charging that much is provide a better service and hire better guys. And, you're able to afford to just make your company all around better when you have the money there to do it. So,
Well, I mean, you didn't have any guys at all when we first talked.
no, I didn't. But I couldn't because I couldn't afford to, because I didn't have the money to be able to set back to do that. So
Right. Well, now you've got like a full crew, and you're hiring again. So.
yep, I am hiring again.
Right. And just to be clear, you're not like in some big city where whatever. You're in a fairly rural market.
My town, the town that I live in, is 18,000 people. We service another town north of us that's about 70,000. So total about 100,000 people, and probably, I don't know, 50 HVAC companies for all that 100,000 people to choose from.
Right. Well, that's a lot of competition for a market that size.
Yeah.
I mean, we always get this thing where, everyone will say, well, or some people will say, well, in my market, it's rural and everybody is a small town and you can't charge that much or whatever, and what would you say to that kind of thing? It's,
I would say that's all in your head. It's a mindset shift that you've got to make. You've got to believe in it. You've got to believe in your price, because you've got to realize everything that goes into your price. And when you say it, it's hard to make that mindset shift, but you've got to do it, because when you offer a price that you don't believe in, customer's not going to believe in it either. So you've got to believe in your price first thing.
But what caused you to get the mindset shift? I mean, how did you get there? Because obviously we're just talking about, you had the fear, I'm going to have to go from 80 to 175.
Well, I realized I wasn't making any money where I was at, and that was a big thing. I just I realized that we had to do something if I wanted to grow, if I ever wanted to get out of the truck. You can either have your family's picture on your desk and look at it every day, or you can have that customer's picture on your desk that you're giving free services away to, So I'd rather look at my family's picture and know that I'm taking care of them more than I'm taking care of the customer and giving them free stuff.
Right. So what was the point that you knew after you made the shift, like, because we always talk about shifts, like there's a shift here and a shift there, right? And I always kind of think of it myself as like a lane change. I'm in this lane that's going slow, and I just shift to the fast lane and start driving faster. That's the way I think of it in my head and
Mm-hmm.
visualize it. When you make the shift, like to go from 80 to like 175, like you did, and then later, of course, you raised it again, because once you knew 175 was enough, then you say, well, why not do 250? Because it's the numbers work better. And
Yeah.
right. So how did you know, like, or what was the point where you said, wow, this is going to work? This is good. How did you know that?
I did it for, I just started doing it. I just started doing it. And the more I did it, the more I believed in it. And the more I saw that people they weren't caught off guard by the pricing. They weren't, uh, we get 5-star reviews every day. Every day. I
Right.
mean, and people aren't upset with our service, and they're not upset with our price. They're happy that someone came out and they were knowledgeable. They got their problem fixed, and it was a seamless deal for them, because that was a big part of their day, was having their air conditioner repaired, and just being able to do that without any bumps in the road. And so I started seeing that people are satisfied with where we're at. So we can probably still raise our prices some more, and it's still going to be okay. So I raise my prices more, and it's still okay.
Right. Well, because the biggest thing that we usually find also, and see if this is true for you, I'm sure it probably is, because it is for almost everybody we talk to, is you change the pricing, and that's just a tactical change. Like, okay, that,
Right.
but there's the mindset shift, but then behind that, there has to be a change, or at least an implementation of a sales process. It's not as simple as, well, here's my new price, just run with it. You're going to have to get your own mental space and your own, how you communicate with customers to be able to
Yes.
deliver value for that price.
Right.
So
So
that becomes the trick.
we're always looking for something. We're far from a perfect company now. We have a long ways to go, but now I have 4 employees, and they're always looking to things that can set us apart from our competition. Be it, we wear booties in their house. We send them a text message when we're on the way. We keep them updated on their status through the day. We use House Call Pro for that, and that pretty well does it for us. But we go through the whole system, and if we see anything, we may see what actually, the part that caused their air conditioner to not work, but we also find other things and bring it to their attention. And you may think, okay, that's going to raise the bill and the customer's not going to be happy. But probably 95% of the customers are going to be happy that you did find that, and that it's going to help them out, in the future. So, we just go above and beyond and look for other things while we're there, not just the single capacitor that went out or whatever. Do they need their condenser coil cleaned? So just, giving them a full service when they're there. Just, it's a benefit to the customer, and most customers see that if you give it to them right.
So there's a good question there. It's been about 18 months since we started working together, right? So that's it seems like a long time, but also it's a very short time, because I had my business for 29 years, and 18 months is a pretty short period in there.
Yeah.
So the question is to go from like where you're at, where you were doing 165 a year, and you go to, or 168 per year, and you go to $100,000 months. The real question is, the business has changed, but the real question I want to know is, how has your life changed? Like you personally, like what's going on for you now?
My life has changed because, well, obviously, we have more money. But yeah, but it's I have more time actually. I don't. I'm not out crawling under houses and so tired that I can't walk when I get home. I just, I have more time with my family.
So you don't need a picture of your family on the desk because you're just home now, right? You can
Right.
just look
Well,
over
I
and
can't.
see them.
I can be if I want to be. I still like to come to work though. I enjoy it. So
Well, no, clearly if business owners are wired in a way where we like to work, that otherwise
yeah,
we wouldn't be owners. You know, if you
right.
want to
I
not
love
work,
it.
just
So
get a job, and when the
yeah,
whistle blows at 5 p.m., you go home.
yeah.
But
But
but I think it's a really good point. So, what does your family think of it? I mean, I know you've got a wife and a young baby daughter now, and
yeah, I mean, my wife is she is not involved with the business at all. So we keep our family and in the business totally separate. So I handle all the business stuff. If anyone asks her about the business, she says you'll have to ask Ben. Um,
right.
so we don't really. I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit, but not really. It's mainly when I'm at home, it's family time, and everything else kind of
And you're
goes
getting
away.
some family time, which is
Right.
right.
So
Yeah, I mean, that's because the real reason we start a business, isn't it, is to get the freedom to do whatever the heck we want to do when we're not at work.
right.
Right. I mean, that's why you start a business. Otherwise, you could have kept your job at the university and just had a job.
Yep.
But you want to get the freedom to, I don't know, go on vacation or have more money or grow it to whatever size or, those
Yeah.
things.
So and I'm not 100% there yet. I mean, we have some more things to do and some more growing to do and some other things to put in place to where it'll run completely without me there. Um, but I think all in all, we're at a much better place than we were in 2017.
Yeah, I mean, no question. From everything that I've seen, and just like congratulations, I've been watching you grow through this whole period, and it's just been like so cool because we talk every week or two. I mean, we
Yeah.
talk quite often, right?
Right.
Um, and I know you're working on expanding to newer marketing things and expanded things to get more customers.
Yes.
Because there's only three ways to build your business. Number one, you charge more to the customers you have. Number two, you get more, or you have your customers buy something from you more often, which were like membership programs or maintenance programs or something. And then the third thing is to go get more customers. And so many folks are trying to do the third one before they do the other two.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to get your pricing right, and you've got to also market to the customers that you already have. I mean, I think that's a very important aspect of it. I
Yep.
mean, you have customers that are already happy with your service. Why not market to them more? They may have something else they want you to do.
Oh, right. In a town of 18,000 people, you're not going to go out and send out a million marketing messages anyway.
No, no. I mean, there's a ceiling at some point, but
But I mean, you think about this. You go, if you go $1 million, or I'm sorry, $100,000 a month, that's a $1.2 million a year run rate.
yeah,
If you go from 168 to 1.2 million in a little over a year, in a small town, that tells me that you're pretty much one of the top dominant players in your marketplace now.
right. Yeah, we are. We're pretty much one of the top companies in our town. Well, we probably are the top company in our little town. So it's just, it was in 2017. I couldn't. It was hard for me to picture it, but now that we're here actually doing that amount of money, it's a little different. So.
Right. I know we had a conversation last week that was, hey, I had $100,000 a month. What kind of fun things can we do with the employees to celebrate that? And we had some, conversation about like cool things to do.
Yeah.
That's much more fun conversation for me to have, by the way, than one like, oh my God, I'm really struggling. What do I do next? Because it's like, we can start going off onto little tangents of like, hey man, you could like do all kinds of fun stuff with people.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah.
I don't know. It's we're having a good time with it. We've still got our head down trying to grow more. So.
Well, that's cool. So what advice would you give somebody who has that skepticism of, I don't know if I can do this? I don't know if or I don't know if it's a skepticism. Maybe I'm not putting that right. You know what I'm talking about? That place where you're at when you're like, I don't know what to do next. What advice would you give them to?
I mean, you've got to dig into the stuff that's not so fun. You've got to dig into your numbers. It's not fun. It's not anything any of us want to do. But if you ever want to have a life other than, riding around doing service calls, crawling in attics and crawl spaces, you've got to do it. You've got to dig into your numbers, and you've got to know what to charge to grow. You've got to look at your replacement pricing. I don't care if the next guy is doing a job for $4,000, it doesn't matter. You build your value. We get jobs every day, and we'll get jobs and we'll be three grand higher than the next guy, and we'll still get the job. And you've got to work on building your value, and the customer just has to see that if they go with you, you're the guy you're the premier guy. You're going to do it right. They don't have to worry about you.
I talk to so many people who are really such good technicians, I mean, they really are. They're doing top quality work, but they're just afraid to charge what they're worth.
Well, one thing that Ted said to me that has stuck with me is I told him, there was another company in my area, and they were, they're charging this price, and they're doing it. And Ted said, well, do you think that their technicians are better technicians than you are? Well, no, they're not. So why can they charge more? You're a better technician than, your competition that's making a lot of money. So why can't you charge what they're charging? So it's just a mind. You've got to get it in your mind that you've got to do that.
I appreciate that you saying that, because that for me, I think is the key to a program like what I do. It's not the information. I mean, it is. It's here, do these things, but it's really the coaching to get you to shift your mindset so that you'll actually execute those things with certainty and intensity.
Yeah.
Because just knowing what to do isn't enough. You have to execute it to a point where you're going to just go for it and make sure that you're, burn your boats, as we say, right?
Yep. So, sit back, think about what you want. You need to know where you're going, know where you want to be, and you got to have a plan,
Well, the funny part of it is it starts with a phone call. It's super simple, right?
Right.
And it starts with a phone call where you show up. How you show up on that call and every other call is to show up coachable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to show up resourceful. Like, okay, I've only got $168,000 in sales. They don't have a lot of money here, right, to invest in this thing right now. But you got to figure out where to find it and get going right away, because the longer you wait, it just doesn't get any better until you do. So resourceful and coachable. And coachable is a big one for me, because I've worked with some people, and I'm actually fairly picky now, because I learned several years ago not to just take everybody that I talk to that could use my help, because some of them aren't going to do anything with it. Right. And at that point, I don't even enroll them. I mean, we can be friends and everything, but there's certain people that are not a fit. But the fact is, if you show up coachable and you show up resourceful and you show up decisive, like make decisions. You can't think about this stuff for months on end.
Yeah.
I mean, how long did it take you to actually make the decision to go from $80 an hour to $175?
Not very long.
Like less than a week, and you were already implemented, right?
Yeah. I mean, when I started seeing our numbers and seeing that I wasn't making any money, it was a pretty easy decision.
Right. But you be decisive, make a choice. We're not doing it that way anymore. We're not going to, quote, try it out, unquote. We're going to do it. We're going to find out how we can charge a much higher rate.
Yeah. I mean,
and it starts with a phone call.
That's does. I mean, right now we just had a $100,000 month. I can't tell you how to get bigger than $100,000 month, because that's all I've ever done. That's my experience. So, if you're having 10,
you'll get it. You'll get there quick.
$20,000 months, it's I'd say look for a guy that knows how to do it. So And Ted helped us do it. So.
Well, thanks, man. I just wanted to, you have everybody kind of meet you because you've got such a great little story to go from where you did in a short period of time,
Yeah.
and you've done a great job, and, you continue to build a great business, and not just a great business, but one with a great culture where your service techs are, totally ethical. They're not doing anything wrong with any customers. Cause again, in a small town, you don't want to get that reputation.
No.
But you're just showing them that you're doing a better job, and the customers are saying, "Oh, we love it, and we're willing to pay whatever that is."
Yeah. I mean, it's if you see something extra, tell the customer. They can take it or leave it, but offer it to them.
But at the same time, make it a point to go looking for all the problems. Don't just fix the first one you find. I mean,
That's right.
You have to make, I mean, the way we always talk about this is if you went to the doctor because you had, I don't know, an ingrown toenail or something, something that was fairly minor, you could fix that really quickly. If he saw a big lumping thing off your thyroid and you might have thyroid cancer, if he didn't say something, that's malpractice in the medical business.
Right.
If he doesn't say, I mean, I'm looking at your toe, but dude, I mean, I took your blood pressure and you got some other things going on and your heart rate's wrong. And what the heck is that big lump in your neck? I mean, we ought to check into that, because it would be bad for me to let you walk out of here thinking your toe was your only problem.
Yeah.
So, and that's the same thing we need to be doing, is training our technicians to look for all the stuff. And yes, everybody, that means in the summertime that you go look at the furnace. And yes, that means when it's snowing in February, you walk outside and walk over to the condenser and at least take a look at it and make sure that the coil isn't completely clogged with junk. Because it's like you might fix the furnace in February, but you're going to be back in May and they're going to blame you.
Yes.
You might want to say, hey, look, it's got a clogged coil. You got this other thing going on too. Clearly that's not part of your heat problem, but I'm here to look at your whole system. And by the way, you're paying me for a diagnostic anyway. I might as well diagnose everything, right?
Yeah.
So,
when's the last time you had this unit serviced?
Right. Yeah. That question every single time, right?
Every time.
That's a good question for you as a lifestyle thing. When was the last time you were crawling around in a crawl space all day?
Yeah.
No.
Been a while.
It's been a while. So yeah, me too. But out
of crawl space shape.
It's the transition to go from technician to business owner.
It is.
Because at this point, I don't know about you, but there was a point in my business life where I switched my thinking about who I thought I was in my internal, 5 layers deep in your brain, who you think you are and what you think you do. I stopped saying, I'm an air conditioning guy, I'm a business, and I'm a service tech and I'm an install. I stopped thinking that way. And I realized, what I think I am? I think I'm a businessman. I happen to know a lot about air conditioners,
right? But
now I'm a businessman. I could run any business now.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what product they do. I could run a dry cleaner, hot dog stand, doesn't matter,
Yeah, it's all the same concept.
I'm not sure I'd want to run Boeing or General Motors, but
yeah,
be fun to try.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, thanks for chatting with everybody. Hey guys, if you wanna make the same kind of phone call that Ben did, all you got to do is go to my website. It's tedgravlin.com. There's some places on there. You'll be able to find this video. They're posted in the YouTube channel there. You can sign up for the YouTube channel. You can also click to book a call. And the direct link for that is just tedgravlin.com/booking. And so you take you right to a place where you can just pick out a time. We can have that conversation, and what you'll want to know during that conversation is just like where your challenges are. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the plan to get you from where you're at to where you want to go, and then we'll see if I can help you or not. And if I can, then we will. And if I can't, then that's fine too. No obligation to that. We'll just do it. Same kind of call that Ben has made, and a bunch of other people have done. But we happen to be having a chat earlier this morning, and I thought, we should interview you because it's a pretty dramatic shift, which happens quite a bit actually for the folks that are coachable and decisive and resourceful in that, as long as they do the work. Just like anything else. If you want to lose weight, you show up at the gym and do what you're supposed to do. You'll lose it. You don't do it. It doesn't work for you. But this process does work. And the good news is, here's the other good question I want to ask you. One more thing. We didn't have you do anything weird, like travel all over the place and spend a lot of money and go.
Nope.
Stayed there and did your thing, you know?
Yep, that's it. I've never had to go anywhere. I've been right here learning and doing my thing. So,
you know, it's fun to go to Las Vegas or something like that, but
it
sometimes
is.
those turn into more of a fun junket than it does a learning opportunity, really.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, so I figured that out a long time ago from groups that I was in. It's like, well, I like going to those places a couple times a year, but it wasn't as effective as just staying there and actually doing stuff in my business.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks a lot, Ben, for hanging out with us. And
All right.
for everybody else out there, you know, go ahead and book a call if you feel like it. And I hope you do, because I'd love to help you. That's kind of my thing. I really love watching people transform. That's why I do what I do. So go ahead, tedgravelin.com, and book a call. We'll talk soon.